Lay. What's up? Yeah.
Kane is in the building.
Yeah. Already the show goes on all night. Till the morning we dream so long. Anybody ever wonder when they would see the sun? Just remember when you come up. What's up? Already the show goes on all night. Till the morning we dream so long. Anybody ever wonder when they would see the sun? Just remember when you come up.
Have you ever had the feeling that you was being had? Don't that shit that make you mad? They treat you like a slave, put chains all on your soul and put whips up on your back. They be lying through their teeth, hope you slip up off your path. I don't switch up, I just laugh, put my kicks up on their desk, unaffected by...
Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of State of the Jungle War Room, episode 2, presented by First Star Logistics. I'm your host, Malik Wright. Joined by my co-host, as always, we've got Evan, we've got Logan, we've got Daniel, we've got a jam-packed show. So for those of you who are tuning into the State of the Jungle for the first time, let me break down the war room for you so that way you understand the mechanics and the workings of how this is all put together. Essentially, we are taking on the role of the Bengals Front Office. We are going to be debating, discussing, the various different options that are on the board. We'll be standing on the table for guys that we like, guys that we love, and everything in between. You guys that are in the comment section that are commenting will be acting as our scouts. Now, not like the Bengals front office, right? Bengals don't have a big scout department, right? So there's not too many cooks in the kitchen. We like to have cooks in the kitchen. We like to hear your input. We like to see if maybe one of you guys in the comment section could sway our pick, maybe an Isaiah Davis, right? Like that happened last week on State of the Jungle. But the cool thing about this is we're going to stand on the table for the guys that we like. We're going to be debating. We're going to get into it, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So make sure you guys do us a favor. Give this video a like. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content from the First Star Logistics studio. Remember, every State of the Jungle episode is also simulcasted on First Star Media Group's YouTube channel. So make sure you guys give them a follow, give us a follow, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on post notifications. Over on the First Star Media Group YouTube channel, you can find Bengals on the Brain with Joe Goodberry, In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, and of course, State of the Jungle with yours truly. But without further ado, let's get into it. So, guys, before we jump, I know Danny's got a quick trigger right now, but
I don't blame him. I'm itching.
I got to be honest with you. I was disappointed in myself last week, guys.
Okay.
Not gonna lie. And
Are you saying we did a terrible job?
Huh?
Or did we do a terrible job?
You didn't do a terrible job, but
there's room for improvement.
I didn't flex the GM title enough. And there were guys that I absolutely loved. I'm sorry, I like Zach Frazier, but that would not have been a guy that I would have drafted. When you consider the names that were on the board later in the draft, and I could already see Evan's leg is shaking over there, and we're probably going to get into it a little bit. The cool thing about the State of the Jungle, sometimes you get the aggressive shows. You get the aggressive shows like tonight might be. You get the shows where we're very thoughtful, I would say, and we're talking about addressing the trenches. I'm going to let you guys know right offhand, this will not be that today. I will look to address, obviously, positions of needs, but at the same time, if a guy is staring me in the face, man, I'm going to stand on the table. And you guys might win that debate. Honestly, you guys might. But I'm going to stand on the table, and sort of how I'm going to keep myself in check so I don't just throw out I'm the general manager tag is we're going to do like a little bit of vote by committee, the type deal. Okay. But I'm going to make my case be heard.
But at the end of the day, right?
If you're the GM, you're the GM.
GM's the one calling in the goddamn pick. So.
Yeah, it is. But at the same time, the GM could also get fired the next day. I don't want to be a what's the guy's name from
the Jets?
The Jets.
No, he drafted and then got fired. Like they fired him and then said you're going to handle the draft for us. And then
what draft day? Sonny Weaver Jr.
Watch draft day.
Sonny Weaver Jr. He got fired. He was about to get fired because he traded away all the draft picks and stuff like that. So I promise you, I won't be that egregious. But we definitely will. I promise you, we're going to leave with a better tackle than Christian Jones, right? Or whatever his name was. Promise we'll leave with a better tackle than that. But without further ado, let's get this party started. Let's see what happens.
All right.
Kick us off,
To
Daniel.
the draft. Let's make sure that we're going slow here, folks. All right, there we go.
All
Very
right.
good.
Caleb Williams, shocker.
Good.
Drake
May.
May, number 2. So he
two.
was drafted over our guy.
Woo!
Jaden Daniels is not drafted yet.
JJ
Marvin Harrison
McCarthy.
McCarthy to the Patriots. That's a real thing that could happen too.
Yeah. Rome.
I don't see Rome
Jaden
being
Daniels.
drafted before Malik Neighbors. I don't
There's
see
no
that.
shot.
I would be shocked. if
Neighbors
that
the
happened.
Titans
Yeah.
there. Brian Callahan,
They
another
just got
LSU receiver.
Calvin Ridley.
Who cares?
Wow, Brock Bowers to the Falcons. So what are they going to do? Double tight end set? Okay. Huaga to the Jets. Okay.
Quinion Mitchell.
Let's press pause for a second,
Yeah.
actually. Let's press pause because I feel like this is going a little too fast. Let's swipe down on that for me.
Yeah.
I want to show people who was off the board because I think that was a big thing last week where people were like, well, who was on the board when you guys picked? And, they wanted to make sure we didn't just pass up on Brock Bowers or whoever. So Brock Bowers goes 8 to the Falcons. I think we can all say that's unrealistic.
Yep.
That's not
You
happening.
never know with Falcons, I guess.
You never know with the Falcons, right?
They'll probably
Kyle
go
Pitts might
edge.
just be their other boundary receiver.
Brock Bowers might be their
Right.
slot tight end or their
They-
slot receiver.
You got Joe Alt to the Bears, so you get Caleb Williams
Lucky
some help.
them.
That is such a Bears pick. Let's just say that. That is
It's a
such
good
a
one.
Bears pick. And that's a good pick. It's a pick that I like a lot for them. Quinion Mitchell goes 11. Do you guys think that's a little rich for him?
Yes.
A little.
Nah.
But, I mean, the
That's-
Vikings need one though.
That's the
Real
like
bad.
high end potential corner shutdown like traits. I feel like Terry and Arnold might be there as well. Nate Wiggins can
Mhm.
have that upside, but I feel like Quinion Mitchell is the best
Yeah,
bet at like
if-
a lockdown corner.
And if the Vikings have him as their CB1 at pick 11 is very good value. So like
Their cornerback room desperately needs
Oh,
help too.
totally.
And if JJ McCarthy and Jaden Daniels are both off the board, like
No reason to force quarterback.
Right.
yeah, I mean maybe they could have went edge. Dallas Turner's right there, but
Yeah, I think that I don't know that Dallas Turner pick. I don't love that right there. I think that's a guy that I don't know what he's going to look like in the league personally. I
yeah,
have a lot of questions regarding him, but I understand
wide
that.
range of outcomes.
I think Jared Verse is more of a short thing than Dallas Turner at 12. And
Yep.
I would like to see
I love me some Dallas Turner.
Yeah.
That man got
Me
a
too.
pterodactyl wingspan. That
Yeah.
thing is huge.
and he's 21.
But let's keep it going. Let's see what happens.
All right, the Raiders here.
Raiders
Aaron
take Terry
Arnold.
Arnold. Okay.
I can
Back
see
to
that.
back Bama players, roll tide. You know us.
Washington
Washington,
goes
yeah.
to the Saints.
Latham.
JC
Latham.
Latham.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Colts.
Here we come.
Goes
Here we
to
come.
the-
You didn't want to have to
Barton.
make that decision,
Graham
did you?
Barton.
Yeah,
You guys,
Oh, wow.
you guys don't got to hear my
Verse.
Graham Barton speech.
Jared Verse goes to the Jaguars. Now we're looking at our draft board. Let's scroll and see what's what going on here. All right.
It's interesting that Cooper DeJean is sitting right here because depending on how you feel about him,
Mhm.
he could be an interesting outside corner that can come and start for you. Like
He can
now.
be an interesting defensive player.
Right. I'm not saying
don't know
that's
where
the
he's
way
gonna
that,
play,
you
but
know,
he
we
can-
should go here, but it's worth mentioning that, seeing him fall down here past Quinion Mitchell is interesting at the least.
Yeah. I honestly, I'm looking at both of these guys. And this is one where I don't know if both these guys are going to be sitting here, both Byron Murphy and Jerzon Newton.
Oh,
Just looking at these two, first off, this is the first thing that my eyes go to is look at the
Oh, yeah.
defensive tackles, 2 studs. Now we got to look at the offensive line. It's only, in my opinion, 2 real guys, Fatanu and Mims. And the discussion between these two is going to be Fatanu can play inside, right? And that's what I think, his movement skills, that's definitely what I
Yes,
saw
he
as,
can.
that's my favorite part about his film. But Mims is the prototypical tackle. So I think that's what the conversation here is really going to be
Yeah.
between defense tackle or you got the Mims or Troy Fatanu.
I mean, and just to throw another little name out there too, Leatu Latu, I think is just somebody who always deserves to be in consideration when it comes to just best player available. If you watch the tape is absolutely unbelievable. The only question mark is his health. He obviously had to transfer due to his, I believe it was a neck issue, but again, maybe it's cleared up. Maybe it's fine. It clearly is because he dominated on the field last year. If that's not an issue, there's probably no shot he's even available here at 18.
Yeah.
I get the whole edge thing, but there's a very good argument to be made that he's BPA here. There's obviously some red flags too. But just throwing his name in the hat too.
The size with Fatano is something interesting for me that I don't know if he might be the most desired fit for the team. Being 317 at 6'4" to play tackle. I know some people like him better as guard, but that is one thing that is a plus for him is that he offers the versatility to play guard, center, tackle. It is kind of a little bit troubling to try and imagine a world where you play him at left guard to compete with Cordell Bolson. You have him learning that, but then the next
I love
week
it.
you want to switch him to right, or the next season you want to switch him to right tackle
Maybe
and
the
have
next
him
game.
learn that. Maybe he's capable to do that, but you are taking
Yeah.
more of a shot on trying to teach a guy a position that he really hasn't played versus someone like Mims, like J.C. Latham, who has that experience and can play there as well. I'd be remiss if I didn't go ahead and do my Amarius Mims song and wax poetic here. So just to kind of just sum it up real quick, we know the concerns with Mims, right? The concerns with Mims are injuries and lack of experience, right? What's the rest of that though? The lack of experience. What does that make us worried about? It makes us worried they're raw. It makes us worried they need to develop their technique.
Yeah.
That's not Mims. Anybody you talk to who does offensive line tape, guys who know a lot more than I do, say he is polished. He has technique. Okay, so the lack of experience isn't hurting him there. He was first out of 200 tackles in pass block efficiency and third out of 200 tackles in pass block efficiency on true pass sets. Small samples, but worth noting. One penalty in 803 career snaps. That's important. Those are as bad as sacks. The other part is the injury thing. I talked about it before. I've referenced it where I don't think it was 3 individual injuries that make you really concerned. I think it was a surgically repaired ankle that then got re-injured because it hadn't healed all the way. And then we see the hamstring injury, which I've referenced before, that after tightrope procedures, Cooper Kupp, Amari Cooper, Zach Moss, Ben Skowronek, Tua Tagovailoa, all these guys ended up having hamstring injuries the season following their tightrope procedure. So this is something that we've seen from a lot of guys. So these 3 injuries seem more to me as something that is all interconnected from one main injury that hadn't healed. And if the medicals come back completely clean on him, I feel like the skills in terms of athleticism, the movement skills at his size, the power profile, the strength, I think they all fit better what this team is looking for in a tackle on top of actually playing the right tackle position.
Yeah. You know, and for things that we are looking for specifically, it's just how, you know, like this would be the 30 in a row we draft a player that doesn't really make an impact year one, you know, and we don't necessarily care about that because we know what the upside is for a guy like Mims. But, you know, does taking a guy like Fatanu matter when he can come in and he can make the team better day one by playing left guard? I think we got to weigh that process out as well here.
Yeah, I think this is pretty simple, to be honest. I think it's between Mims and I'm looking at the 2 defense tackles, whichever one is your pick. I think you can pick either, you know, whichever one's your poison. I think if I were to make a pick for me personally, I'm looking at Newton or Murphy, and I'd be looking at Murphy. I think Murphy has a lot that he hasn't necessarily proved, and I think he's got a lot more potential out there. He's only put 2 years of really good production and tape out there, but I just love the physicality. I think his ability to play both the 3 tech and the nose tackle position. If I'm looking at this, my pick would be Byron Murphy, but Mims or Newton, I would be.
I mean, when we discuss it, I don't know how. I'm really curious why you have Byron Murphy over Newton, because if you ask me, I think that Newton offers way more. I think he is much more of the refined.
I think it's the testing. The fact that Newton hasn't tested, that brings him down a little bit, but he's got his pro day, I believe, that is coming up that he'll be looking at. And then I think it's also just because Murphy was such a good run defender, even though, to his credit, according to PFF grades, that Newton was actually really, really good against the run too. So I think that might be more of a perception thing with the fact that that Murphy played so much of the nose tackle that some people seem to think that Devondre Sweat played.
Yeah.
Newton is more the sure thing in the sense that
I just think for what you're looking for, Newton checks a lot of those boxes. But the issue here is we saw what it looked like. We saw what it looked like in the second round, right? In the third round, when it comes to some of these prospects. I don't know, man. I just think that like the chance to get an elite defensive tackle here is enticing. But at the same time, you talk about the Fatanu pick and what he brings to the table. This is one of those drafts where you don't want to overthink it. And I promise that this State of the Jungle will be a little bit different, and we'll do something a little bit outside of our wheelhouse. So, listen, we've been on the clock long enough. I think I'll stand on the table and I'll say, how about we go out and we draft Fatanu?
I like that.
I'm in.
I think that's versatility, gets you a backup at every spot. We know the 5 starters were all healthy last season, which was something we do not expect to hold true this season. You don't get that lucky 2 years in a row. So that's definitely something that is an added benefit. He can come and compete with Cordell Volson right away, then offer potential solution at the right tackle spot in the future when Trent Brown's contract is up after this season.
Yeah, I think he's becoming more and more of my ideal pick here at 18. I'm so glad that we were able to land him. I just love the fact that he can come in, we can upgrade the offensive line day one. We upgrade it long term as well. If he comes in and plays at a Pro Bowl level at guard, then that's what he does. Then we're good, Or if he happens to play right tackle next year, he plays right tackle next year. It's just I love having the options. I love having the versatility of a player, and then that you're still getting a damn good player. And again, who knows exactly what kind of route he's going to take in his career, where he's going to play. Yeah. But we know he's going to be a good player. We know he's going to come in day one and improve this team. And I think that is very important to where we are as an organization. We come in, we get better.
I think there's a strong advantage to going O-line early too, because we talked about it. There are good offensive linemen to be had in the second and third rounds, but they're in a weird spot. The Bengals are where you end up when you get to your pick. Those guys are not necessarily on the board. Guys like Kingsley Suamataia, Jordan Morgan, Tyler Guyton, these guys will be gone by the time you generally cycle around back to the second round pick.
So I want to get through some of the guys that went. We kind of got lost in trend, talking about this, but Mims goes to the Rams here. Bo Nix to the Steelers. That is such a
QB1.
3 QBs. Let's go.
Byron Murphy, he replaces the Christian Wilkins. He's been popular to the Dolphins. I think this is the second time he's went to the Dolphins in our mock draft.
Good luck trying to fill the Christian Wilkins void. Good luck.
Keep scrolling down. We got Brian Thomas Jr. goes to the Eagles because they, they obviously can't get enough of a wide receiver.
I love that pick.
Yeah, I like the Gene there to the Bucks as well.
Yeah.
There's some good picks here.
Jackson Power Johnson goes to the Cowboys. That makes a lot of sense.
There's some fun ones here.
Newton. Bills should have gone wide receiver.
Latu to get some extra pass rush across from Aiden Hutchinson. I really like that for them.
Newton to Kansas City is a bullet right in the face.
Xavier Worthy goes to the Panthers. That gets some real
at round pick 33. That's
a little run there, a little 3-receiver run.
Yeah,
Worthy, Mitchell, legit.
Wow, Patrick Paul going this early.
I'm not a fan of that.
Max Dalton,
which is realistic too. I could see some.
There are a lot of teams that like him. He was good, produced well in his
Jordan Morgan.
College.
Peyton Wilson stays home in the state of North Carolina. All right, he's with the.
They need all the talent.
Saints still
goes.
And this is kind of the argument for taking offensive line first round is because of how fast this run on tackles happens when they all have their guy.
Yeah, we're a little deep.
And we're not even there yet.
Yeah.
The Texans with Stephon Diggs nowadays. How about that?
Yeah. What a crazy trade there. Yep. Lamar Lassiter added that secondary a little bit.
Fisk.
They need some help on the interior.
I like that fit.
Ooh, that's
Kings. That's a tough. But we just took one. We don't got to ooh about it.
He always goes like just right before you.
I like Rakestraw there to Indy. Roman Wilson to the Giants is a very good fit as well. Tyler Newman
on the clock, folks.
So we're back on the clock.
Ooh, I like this. No, I'm just playing.
That ain't happening. But we can scroll down. Let's see what we got on our board real quick.
Oh man.
Tavian Sanders, Jermaine Burton, John Ellis.
There's some fun guys here. Obviously, it's a second round.
Give me here. Let's take a look at the defensive tackle.
Yeah, because
I feel like there's been a huge run on the.
I
feel like there's been a huge run on the tackles and
line.
not so much on the interior defenders yet. I think we're gonna like what we see here.
Rub my fingers.
All right, here we go. Rook.
All right.
Big Rook guy.
I feel like there's going to be some options if we swing back around where we might get lucky and get Tavondre. I feel pretty good about Michael Hall or Dwayne Carter. You got 2 third-round picks as well. I
just don't know if Tavondre split. I think the run is inevitable. I think the run on defensive tackle is inevitable here.
I tell you what I really like is an option to add a wide receiver right here, though.
Mm-hmm.
I do too.
You know who I'm thinking. I like Troy Franklin. I do. The physicality that he kind of struggles to put up with a little bit, especially in and out of his routes, makes me a little nervous. But one guy who, if he didn't have any type of just on the field, let's say, I feel like Jermaine Burton is absolutely worth a second-round pick.
Yeah.
I have him over guys like Keon Coleman. I love his ability to separate. I love the verticality in the route tree. I think the only thing I can say is that he doesn't have like elite size and doesn't have the elite top-end gear, but his ability to separate, set his routes up, use head fakes, use subtle movements in and out of his routes to attack intermediate deep. I feel like he would be great for this offense.
Let me see. I want to see something. Let's see what the trade offers are.
I don't think there's off. I think we have to make.
Okay. So
it just says the Dolphins, I guess, are interested, but That's
we
it.
have to trade back with them. You know what? I'm actually interested in trading back with them though.
They're at 55. I mean, if that's
I
a
am.
team that's interested, that's a
I am
that's a
because
6
I
round.
don't think the drop off is going to be that.
I think there's 5 players on the board that we
I
would all
agree.
feel
And
comfortable
that
with right now.
if
Yeah.
Miami is the team that's interested, like it suggests here, like
Yeah.
that's only a 6-pick drop.
Let's see.
So they would
what do we
want-
Hold. Evan, you're usually the trade guy. If you
Mhm.
know.
Oh, man.
Let-
So
let-
actually,
You're-
this is
you're
this is
moving
funny.
6
and
spots
this
back.
is, actually something I did want to bring up. I was talking with Parker Blake a little bit earlier because we were talking about the Stephon Diggs trade after it happened, and we kind of talked about how it's difficult when you're trading with teams, or we're doing trade analysis, because there's things like the Brad Spielsberger chart over the cap that is kind of a modern trade chart.
Mhm.
Sometimes there's NFL teams that have their own chart. Sometimes there's NFL teams going off the Jimmy Johnson trade chart.
Right.
So what might be a good deal for one chart, half the teams in the NFL might not use it. So it's
Right.
not like there's a consistency in that. So that's just kind of something unique that is another part of why trades sometimes don't happen, is because they might be going off of different value charts for how they value picks. If you're moving back 5 picks in the second, probably going to be like a late third, like
Yeah.
maybe
Let's
fourth.
see- Let's see if we can.
But if we can get a third out of
because
this,
wait. Let's remember. Let's remember. The goal here is to fleece.
Yep.
The goal here is to win the trade.
I don't think it's a bad idea to consider just getting even a better pick next year. We already have 10 picks in this draft. If we can add more capital to future draft picks as well, to maybe even get a better pick in general. If it takes a 4th this year, if we can get a 3rd next year to move back,
158 would be 4.
158 is deep.
yeah,
Either
that's
4th or
really-
5th.
That's a 5th rounder.
I mean,
So you'd have
maybe
to the conversation would have to start at something next year, looking at what they have
next
to-
year's 4th and 185, maybe.
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in that.
On top of that, too, we already have so many picks to play with, right? Getting more picks would only give you.
That's why I
ammo to
suggested
trade
doing something
back
next
into
year.
the second.
Hear me out for a second. No. Because I'm
Yeah.
not in that business. Who knows if I'll be a GM next year? I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the year now. Let's go to the Philadelphia Eagles for a second.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in the 53rd pick.
53rd?
50.
Just,
Or
just,
50?
just pick the Eagles.
50,
The Eagles have 53 as
Oh,
well,
yeah.
but they're over there, and you can get both.
53rd.
So 53.
Yes.
And then let's see if we can.
3 spots in the second round. I don't know. You might get a back end third if you're lucky.
I think that's even a little rich because they pick right after us too.
Yeah, I don't know how much you're really going to get out of them for this.
Can
especially when
we
they've already
scroll
got
down on the
their-
teams behind us a little bit more on the left there? No, like to see who could maybe, because we're not going to trade.
Cowboys, Packers.
I mean, who could move up for
but at
what?
the same time, you don't want to move too deep, right? To miss out on.
No, that's why I'm
of
looking
those
at
picks,
this range. The
Yeah,
Cowboys want to move up.
Here's the thing I'm focused on. Let
Yep.
me just say this. I told you I'd be more aggressive.
Yep.
I'm not trying to take the chance on the Browns getting Tavondre Sweat.
Yep.
I don't think they're going to pick him at 54.
Are you willing to take that chance?
So what are we looking at?
100%.
Tavondre
I think
Sweat.
there's maybe a 5% chance or less that Tavondre Sweat goes by the time.
So
the Browns are
we're moving up 100% for Devondre Sweat in your mind. That's
in
why
this
we're moving
mock
up.
draft. By the way,
So I think, yeah. What's the conversation? Because I like the defense tackles.
I like the defense tackles. I like the receivers.
Yes.
That's what I like.
Yes.
I also don't think we should make a trade just to screw over a division opponent. I feel like that's
No. You're getting Tavondre Sweat because you actually like him while trying to also add an additional
Yes.
pick to probably get
What
that wide
if-
receiver as well as fill out, some of the other.
Would
needs
you
on the team.
consider just to say taking said receiver, Devondre Sweat here,
And then
and then
moving
just
up.
moving up again from 80? We move up to 60. We move up to 70.
Well, all I know is that we've been on the clock for a while, and
I like my receivers here. I do.
yeah. All right, let's go to draft a player. Let's see what happens.
I think
I'm with Evan here, man.
it's between Burton or Sweat.
If you feel good about where Jermaine Burton is as an off field,
Yeah.
which is just not DUIs, not anything crazy. He runs his mouth, and they storm the field, and he shoved that woman who was on her way to
Yes.
storming the field.
And-
like, if you feel good about your homework there on the field, he is absolutely worth the second round pick.
Here's the thing, though, man.
I'm a big Troy Franklin guy here too, if I'm being honest.
Will we regret that? And this is the biggest question: will we regret passing up on? For me, I'm not a Ruka Koro. I'm not. That's not my guy.
Yeah.
I feel like
Ruka Roro.
Aurora.
I feel like the D line, you're going to be able to find one of these guys that you like in the third or fourth.
Yes.
I think I'm gonna be honest. Any of these three, I love.
Malik,
Any of these
Malik,
three. I love.
is there any
I'm not saying
possibility?
here, so
Is there
I'm
any
confident.
possibility I can sell you on a corner here?
No.
Darn.
I think
Worth a shot.
if I were to say it, I'm confident that one of these three will be here at our next pick.
I agree.
I don't
Should.
think a Jermaine Burton will be there
Okay.
at our next pick.
So, or how do we feel about the Jermaine Burton pick, guys?
I
I'm
love
in.
it.
I feel
I'm in.
good about it.
All right, so let's make it happen. Let's make
All right.
Jermaine Burton our second.
I like it. I like it.
Call him up,
All
claps.
right. Big advantage of this too is
Yeah.
with Joe
Troy
Burrow.
Franklin goes to the Eagles. They draft
Yeah.
two wide receivers back to back.
So, I mean, obviously getting cheaper at the wide receiver position and pairing that with Jamar Chase, who's about to
Another-
get his extension, is
Load it
definitely
up.
an advantage. Burton can
Root
attack
goes to the-
intermediate, vertical. It's definitely a good pick
Yeah,
on
he's
field.
a good fit regardless of what the future of
Hear me
T
out for a
holds.
second.
Yep.
Press pause.
Yep. Please don't pick him. Okay. I was about to say.
I don't trust that. I just don't trust that he'll be here
Yep.
later and like when it's time for us to pick. I'm not willing to take that chance.
Are you going to feel this way every time we draft, though? Are we
Yes.
going to be trading up every single mock draft because
It's
we don't?
possible. It's possible.
But
man.
that's okay. But
Listen,
what if we just roll the dice to see? It's right about where he's ranked on this board. We have and this is one advantage that we have, right? That you don't have. We're using the same board that all the other
But
teams are
we're in the
technically
war
using,
room right now. The draft is happening right now.
We don't care about other teams.
That's.
if we're looking at the team, okay, the Bucks they have Vita Vea, maybe probably not.
You got Kenny Clark on the
Kenny
Packers.
Clark, the Texans.
Just signed
it's-
Christian Wilkins, didn't they?
No, they
I mean,
Raiders.
Raiders. The
It's
Texans
possible.
wanted him,
Even
but
when
they
we
just
bring
gave
up the
Daniil Hunter
Even
a
when we bring
bat.
up the Packers, they still would want to pair a guy next to
Devontae Wyatt.
They drafted
They
Wyatt
drafted
last year.
Devontae Wyatt just like 2
But
years
still,
ago.
like I don't
But
even
he's-
think that should matter. If we love Sweat, like
I love Sweat.
then
The Bills
there
have
should be
just
no
have
issue.
Built only D line. The Lions already have 2 edges. They've got Aiden Hutchinson and they drafted Latu. I don't know if I'm feeling like we really got to feel pressured here until
I don't even think it's necessarily about feeling pressure. It's just we know it's a guy we love.
Yes.
Why not just go get him?
You know what? Yeah, we're doing that. Let's call the Buccaneers and see what.
already, man. No patience. Don't you guys want to live a little? Don't you want to feel
You know
the
what?
rush?
Let's do it.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen.
Don't you want to feel
So-
the rush a
so-
little
wait,
bit?
so let
Let's
me
do
me
it.
ask you this question. If we're talking about trading up, where would you feel comfortable trading up? Because I think we're confident. We want Tavondre
You're
Sweat.
fired if he's not. If our pick comes around and he's not there, you're
Or
gone.
you're
The
double
rest of us
fired if he
swap.
goes to the
We'll go
division.
ahead.
Where
might
would
be
you
dead.
be comfortable trading up, or would you not be comfortable trading up for a medal?
No, I think especially because, like, obviously trading up for an interior defensive lineman in the 3rd
Because guys,
round, not a
we have
huge
10
deal.
picks. We're not going to utilize them all, right?
No,
I mean,
that's
like,
the thing, right?
we
Is
ha-
you
we
have
have
so many picks,
But
that
we have an
you would
extra
some to
third
play
and an
with.
extra 6 and 7. The extra 6 and 7 isn't gonna be able to move you up.
I'm not. Listen, listen. There's no way in hell he's making it out of the 2nd round.
No.
There's no way.
I
I
think
understand in the actual draft,
Yes.
but based on the board we've got here,
Yeah.
he's
Listen,
ranked what 70
well,
something.
I'm not going off. I'm going off of getting the guy that I love. That's the mentality.
Okay.
If there's a guy that you love, you go out there and you get him. That's my.
And I
Yep.
think this is the range, honestly, to do it, considering because you're not going to be doing it with the Chiefs. You're not going to do it with the Ravens. We're not. I mean, the 49ers. We're not going to do it with the Bills. We're not going to. I mean, then the Lions and the 49ers.
I don't know how
Yeah,
many of
yeah,
these
that's-
guys are. The thing is, I don't know how many are sitting here going, we really got to fill this interior
what?
defensive line
You know
spot.
what? For the sake of it, let's let it ride. But before the
We're going to have to
Ravens-
find out
but
eventually.
Before the Ravens?
you know what? Before let's stop.
The Chiefs took Jason Newton, too,
I
so
don't-
I'm not
Who
worried.
cares?
Listen, we've seen in this draft, the Eagles draft 3 wide receivers. So, again, when the Lions come around, let's press pause.
Okay.
Okay, let's see what happens.
Bro, could you imagine DJ Reader and Tavondre
All
Sweat
right.
in the middle of the DJ and Al McNeil? Oh
All
my
right.
God. Keon Coleman, another receiver.
Come on.
They've got all D
All
line.
right.
All right.
Oh, I saw the Texas there for a second. I was like, oh, brother.
You're lucky.
We
Let's
made it
go.
3 more picks. We're so lucky.
Yeah.
So we won 61.
Mhm. We want 61.
I mean, you're
okay.
moving up 20 spots here to the back end of the 2nd round, so I think you're probably going to have to give up.
You're first.
Maybe
You can-
maybe you can get away with an early 4th and then something else. I don't know.
Try it.
I mean,
Early 4th is 115.
yes.
You're gonna have to give him your 2nd round pick or your 82 though.
Well, yeah.
That's the problem. You're not just
Yeah, we're gonna have to. And
Yeah.
then I mean, would you even throw on the 6th, like the extra 6th and 7th we got?
What are we going to do with
I mean, if you want to try the later 4th and then a 5th or a 6th, just to try and haggle right now.
we got 54% chance to be accepted once again.
Right,
We're
just
trying to
off
fleece.
this.
Might as well try this, huh?
Okay.
or no?
Yeah, go ahead. And
GM.
GM, you feel good about that offer?
I think this is the lowest we'll be able to get. if they want to accept it.
So we'll be giving up our second. Well, our third.
We're moving up 20 spots.
Yeah,
We're giving up
Our fourth
and,
and our second, sixth.
basically moving up 20 spots with a 4th round pick.
Yeah.
Is
Offer
essentially what
trade.
you're doing.
And
The
Joe
Lions.
Mixon,
Okay.
essentially. We got it.
We're on the clock.
Okay.
Woo!
Awesome.
You're lucky they accepted. I was gonna just we gotta just let it out.
Yeah, I know.
Play it out. Play it out.
If they didn't, I would have.
Right.
Dang.
Okay. Devondre Sweat. We're not even thinking about it.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
I want to
Draft it.
say this about Devondre Sweat
I like
because this became a topic toward the end of the show, and I didn't quite have all the numbers, but here we go. All right. For the people who think that Devondre Sweat is just a nose tackle or is not worth what's going on here, he played 57 snaps shading the center in the A gap last season, but 402 in the B gap and even aligned over the tackle and outside the tackle at times. This is a guy who has that versatility on the D line. Sure, he's going to slot more as your kind of nose tackle guy, but he has that ability. And to say he wasn't as productive as a pass rusher because he had 2 sacks is just bullshit. It's just bullshit. Out of 200 defensive tackles, he ranked 8th in PFF pass rush grade.
Yeah.
And on pure passing situations, out of 143 tackles, he ranked 19th in pass rush productivity, 6th in pass rush win rate, and 5th on true pass sets.
Yeah.
So you're talking a guy who was top 5% among defensive tackles in terms of win rate on true pass sets and regular. So like to say he's not productive as a pass rusher just because he doesn't have sacks is just wrong.
And-
It's just wrong.
He also has a lot of batted balls too.
Yes.
We were watching some film before the draft, and I mean that guy gets his club up there often.
Let me just say this. In the draft, you want
Let's
players.
look at the board too. Let's get closer to the board so
Yeah.
the scout team can see.
I mean, when you look at, Devondre Sweat, you want somebody that's different. I'm talking 6'4", 360 pounds. And when you look
Ooh,
at
Trey
these
Benson.
guys who bat balls, Devondre Sweat has the most batted balls
Come up if
in
you wanna pause.
the entire draft. I'm a huge fan of Devondre Sweat pick. I love our draft so far.
Yeah, I like our draft so far.
I'm a big fan too. And the thing about Sweat, we talked about he's just good in general, but I don't think it eliminates us from taking any of these other defensive tackles that we like just because he is more of that true nose. Like coming up here, this pick now, there's still going to be some options that we're probably going to argue about.
I think the biggest thing you're worried about with Sweat is just the weight and trying to make sure that he stays motivated. But I mean, it's the NFL. This is your paycheck. This is your livelihood
Yeah.
now.
You're paid
Like,
millions to
and
be
you
motivated.
also have all of your time now to not worry about school and other
Yeah.
things. You can just be a professional athlete.
I want to see something real
Yeah.
quickly because I told you this draft I want to be aggressive.
Okay.
I do.
Well, this
What's
draft
the
is
average
also
rating?
going to be higher risk, but higher potential too,
100%.
because like Jermaine Burton and Devondre Sweat are
Mhm.
both guys you have to do your homework on, right?
100%.
What
Do me a
position?
favor. There's two
on
positions I want to look at.
And wouldn't you say you feel like you have a good infrastructure in place as
Yeah.
the Bengals? Like you have Trey Hendrickson, you have these veteran leaders in Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Like these guys are going to be able to help reel in some of these rookies, I feel like.
He's struggling with this.
Man,
don't
I'm
drag your
trying.
finger. Don't
Edge.
drag your finger
There
on
we
the
go.
positions. Don't drag your
Edge
finger on the
and-
positions.
Or we'll look at edge first.
Man,
So
I don't
let me
love
start
it.
by saying, huh? You don't love it? You said?
I don't love it.
I don't love it either. But Nelson Caesar, I love. I'm not. I just want to see if he was available still.
Can we?
and I love
Well,
Javon
let's-
Solomon
let's
if we're
turn-
throwing
let's
him out
turn-
there.
Let's go to guard for a second.
I-
Offensive guard, interior offensive line.
There's
Oh,
a
we'll leave
couple
that.
names I like here.
So
and-
what?
I'm going to ask something for me and Logan. I think we're going to be on the same page here in just a minute.
I like these two centers
right.
right at the top of the board. I ain't
So-
gonna lie to you either.
I
like them
think
a lot.
You know,
I'll
Cooper
say-
Beebe
yeah,
right
Cooper,
there.
Cooper is the guy.
I want to look at corner though, because I think there might be a guy who offers high-end starter upside right
There's
here
a guy.
at this spot.
Okay, we can look at that. But there's a guy literally next round. And I feel really.
It may be a little bit early. Go ahead and switch us over to cornerback there, Daniel, if you could.
CB. This is who we're at here.
Man, all right. Yeah, I was hoping to catch the tail end of Kyrie Jackson there,
I will
man.
also say before we go back to the interior offensive line, Dwayne Carter is still staring me in the face. Michael Hall is still staring me in the face.
Let's
Like-
talk about this.
like-
Really, the reason why, I'm going to be honest, these two guys, let's talk about Dwayne Carter.
I love him.
I love Dwayne Carter. You want me to talk about Dwayne? I'll let you go first.
I'm just going to be honest. If you guys want to double dip at defense tackle, this is the spot. First off, Michael Hall, 20 years old. If you want a potential 3-tech for the future, Michael Hall, elite athleticism. And Dwayne Carter, what I will say about him is, I mean, you guys talk about team captain,
3
can
times.
play every single
one in
position
Duke
on the
history.
defensive line.
Mhm.
And he is a monster. Ability to bat balls. I turned on the film. Notre Dame against Joe Alt, against Blake Fisher.
Dominated.
He is dominant. He has all the pass rush moves. He can
He
swim
has
move,
pass rush moves.
Yeah.
spin move.
He has everything we
Great
like
in the
man.
run game.
He checks
No,
all
he
of
does.
our boxes.
If you guys want to double up I think now would be the time, defensive tackle. But
the thing is, with taking Tavondre, the thing I love about Dwayne Carter is because he played over 300 snaps in the A-gap. He can give you that nose tackle. This is if you don't get Tavondre Sweat, this is my favorite guy to get to play a little bit of that nose tackle, interior stuff, and offers you that pass rush upside. I feel like as your backup 3-tech, I feel like there's better fits for your potential pass rush gap shooter guy.
Yeah.
I feel like Michael Hall is a much better fit for that.
Yeah, I mean, even you still have some higher upside guys. I mean, Leonard Taylor there, still a lot better when he plays 3-tech. Mason Smith, who we had in on a visit the other day, a very good high upside guy as well. But I really do like Cooper Beebe here a lot too, man. You know how much I pounded the table for a center in our second round last week.
We have people, we have scouts, I'm sorry,
Yep.
that might wind up getting muted or fired in the chat saying, we flushed a pick down the toilet on Burton and then traded up for Sweat. Can you explain to the people why Jermaine Burton isn't a flush down the toilet type of pick?
Jermaine Burton is 95th percentile or higher in coverage grade at I'm sorry, looking at the wrong spot.
He
here.
plays
One
corner
second. Yes,
also.
he does. Sorry. 90th percentile or higher in receiving grade versus single coverage versus man coverage, yards per route run. These are three of the biggest indicators of NFL success. They are the stable metrics that continue that are good predictors of future success. He is a smooth athlete, has all the nuances that you want out of route running, doesn't struggle against press despite being, I think he's 6'1", 6 foot flat, 196, and shorter arms. That's the drawback, right? Is the short arms, not elite size, but play him at the Z. Okay. Jamar Chase can beat press, no problem. I got no problem with him. Jermaine Burton did a little bit of that too at Alabama. He was fine.
I don't get where the notion comes that he's a head case.
It's because he's had stuff where he's, talking to John with players, fans, on field, off field after.
He got a mouth on him.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
But
fine.
so do a lot of the good
receivers.
This is not.
So did Jamar Chase.
This is not DUI.
We drafted
this
him.
is not,
He's a yapper.
right.
Like-
yeah, that's
Like God, we've had many diva-esque wide receivers come through Cincinnati.
all this dude did was produce
And
at one of the best programs in the
Yeah.
country with not great
Two of them.
quarterback play.
Two of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And he just produced like crazy. And he is just a killer on the vertical routes. He's a killer on the intermediate routes. He's got very few instances of false steps. He's got the head fakes. He's great against zone, finding those soft spots.
He's very, 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 very smooth. And I think if you look at the future of the receiver room, whether we want to decide to keep T or not, he's going to be able to fit in
you
regardless.
can play slot or outside.
regardless.
Right.
Like
my
that's
comp is
the
for
upside of it.
Olave without the fifth gear.
Yeah.
speed.
Somebody said
Like-
we need a T replacement. Burton and his short arms doesn't fit that. Just because, like again, not all receivers are created.
Didn't
the
we say
same.
that we wanted more
Right.
yards after the catch, missed
Yards after
tackles?
kick,
Like,
right,
didn't
right? You want more of a vertical threat too, as well.
he is a
He's
vertical
great.
threat?
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like,
not because he's
100%.
just smaller.
He's what you look for. I think.
And
I
isn't
think-
Jamar Chase an excellent jump ball receiver?
Right.
Like, can't he be your T. Higgins in this
I
instance?
just think people are just punching air right now, but it's fine. Continue to.
We like our players, man.
We
love our players.
I love Cooper Beebe here. I really
Yeah.
do. I feel really, really good about him. I think that he immediately does he challenges does he challenge Cordell
Absolutely.
Wilson right away for
Yes.
the 100% he does.
Without a doubt.
And could he
Without
win
a
it? I
doubt.
think he could win this.
I think,
win
yeah.
the spot as well. So
Well, then
expect
you
him
also
to.
have the flexibility to just say, Fatana, we're going to give you a year to practice right
That's
tackle.
the thing also. We have Fautana, who we expect to come in and also compete at left guard and
Yeah.
also win it.
Yeah.
So not that BB can't sit for a year, even take some more reps to learn center.
And also, let's
expand his
remember
versatility.
Trent Brown is a
Trent
one-year
Brown.
contract,
Yeah.
and on top of that, he's finished 33% of his last 9 seasons.
Yeah, the only other thing I would say to maybe consider, we haven't even looked at the board or anything either, but since we have Fatanu, we're expecting damn near to be our starting left guard now. Is there any chance maybe we want to take a swing at a tackle that could maybe end up being a solid right tackle? And now all of a sudden we fixed our offensive line in one draft. Is there any tackles we pull up the tackle board real quick? I don't think there probably will be at this point. I just didn't know how we wanted to play that.
But I just feel like we've spent there already, and that's what the final pick. The hope is that he becomes.
But what if we play him at left guard this year and he's the best left guard in the league?
Well, what if Cooper Beebe beats Cordell? Like, what if he beats Cordell Wilson? What if you have?
Well,
an
we're
injury?
already expecting him. We're replaced Wilson.
So what if you have an injury at you know,
I feel like
I'm
people
fine
are
with
forgetting
Beebe.
that, like,
I'm
you
totally
don't
fine
have
with
a slot
Beebe.
receiver right now. Like Mike Gesicki or Charlie Jones are your slot receivers right now.
I'm
Like,
totally
if
fine with
that's-
BB. I'm just making sure we're going through all options.
Oh
here.
yeah, no, I'm still just people are saying like what is Jermaine Burton going to do if he can't block? Like, are you sending the receiver out there to block anyways? Like, what? I don't get that.
Yeah.
No, I think BB is a good pick here. I think you add to that guard depth, and like you've referenced before, Logan, that interior, all of their contracts are up within the next 2 years. So you're going to have to remake that line, and you don't want to have to go sign 3 or 4 free agents when next year 2 or 3 spots are wide open, and then 2 spots the year after that. So like, it's good to get that depth right now, especially of quality players.
Last ditch effort. My only thought, I want to get you guys' opinions on this. I really like Zenter and I really like down here Bortolini. Are you guys confident in taking a BB and letting go of the defensive tackle depth on the board versus these guys? Because
I think you're overloaded at defensive tackle.
yeah.
I think you're overloaded right now, personally. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean,
I think it's 50-50. I really like Beebe. He would come in, and I love him as a prospect. I mean, strong. Everybody also talks about his football IQ off the charts.
I think if we're looking at the defensive tackle depth in general right now, we obviously added Sweat, who's going to be our true nose for the most part, that can do things, you know, and you have Rankins and you have BJ Hill. Obviously, there's, you know, if we draft another defensive tackle here, which I think we totally could, I think there's plenty of great players. They're replacing that 500, 450-ish snaps that we would be planning to give Zach Carter.
Yeah.
You know, so it comes down to that thing. Are we just completely, utterly cutting ties with Zach Carter? If so, another defense tackle makes a ton of sense. If not, then I think regardless, you can argue BB's the best player here, point blank and simple. You know, and the only other people I think you can really do that with are some of the D-line guys.
Is everybody on it? Or like, do we want to?
I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
I'm cool with it too. I think there's some defensive tackles I still like, and then a little bit later, the thing is we do have to realize our next pick is in 50 picks now, so be okay with losing out whenever we're thinking in our head.
If you get BB, you don't have to worry about the offensive line.
I'm all in on BB. I think he's easily could be considered BPA here.
No, I'm good with that.
All right, so maybe it is.
I like it.
All right.
Little claps, boys.
I feel good about that.
I like it.
You finally addressed the interior. Brendan Rice goes to the Steelers. Michael Pratt to the Rams. That's such a Rams pick.
I kind of like it. Yeah, I kind of like it. But I mean, I like BB. I talked about it a lot last week, and I'm going to continue to talk about it now. It's just the depth on the interior, the depth on the line is going to evaporate after the season. If we can get a player like BB to just be depth, period, whether he's going to be the starting left guard next year, starting left guard this year, starting left guard week 4 if Trent Brown's out and Fatanu slides to the right side, whatever. He's a quality football player at a very important position. And when you can draft a quality football player that plays a premium position in the draft, you should not ever be upset about it ever.
I love how physical he is, man. And, his ability to just find the guy.
We love our glass eaters,
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna go that far, but I think he's a guy I think he's gonna be special, man. I watched this game, and you should turn on the tape when you see him versus Texas, man, and he's won multiple reps against guys like Tavondre Sweat, guys like Byron Murphy. I don't mean just one; I mean dominated. So like you feel really, really good about him and what he brings to the table, man. But I feel really good about him.
Yeah, I mean, I like where we are now. We've added some trench players, and then Burton. I know people have kind of been up and down about Burton, man, but taking a guy like that and moving up is why we can afford to take a guy like Burton, who we're all super high on.
And I think it's important too to remember how much yards after the catch ability can be placed on quarterback accuracy. And I think Malik and I can both attest that Milroe was not. No. It was a deep shot offense, right? And so you're generally going to be getting these deep shots, people coming on top of you. When you look at, you've got Bryce Young the year before, his yak per reception was an extra 60, 70% higher. When you have a quarterback who can place these accurate passes, especially if you're doing more slot stuff and not just running posts and nines constantly, you have more opportunity for some of this stuff. So I feel like, I know people are freaking out like, oh, well, he's not, Javon Baker after the catch or anything like that. But at the same time, you do have a guy who has speed, who has more of that profile, who has that separation ability.
When you're looking at Burton in general, like there's just not many true flaws in the actual production and film.
You want to say short arms, and people don't like him off the field for whatever collegiate fandom they are a part of.
Mason Smith, man, that's a tough one. I like him a lot.
Yeah,
we just had him on a visit too.
Yeah, he's just on a visit as well.
Christian Boyd,
That's
I like that
another
one
good D,
too.
too.
We're coming up here. Taj
That's
Washington.
a good
That's
pick.
That is a good one. Such a great, a pretty fun little pick there.
We're on the clock, folks. And this
Oh,
is
man.
real quick. I will say, I think this is the sweet spot for running backs. I'm honestly happy that we didn't go running back earlier. Not that we even discussed it, but I think this is where you're going to really be in the sweet spot of whether it's a guy, you know, like Will Shipley, or we'll see who else is on the board. But Zach Zinter's still on the board.
No, I'm good though. I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, kind of went, your boy, Dwight McGlothern corner. There's some good talent on the board. We talked about Theo Johnson last
All right.
time, but
So I said
think we're on the
I
same
said I
page
will
here.
stand on the table
This
for my
is
guy.
this is
We're on the
where
same
it was going
page
to
here.
happen. Yep.
What am I
You're
going
going to say Dwight McGlothern?
No.
I think
You're
I
not
know
going to
where
say
you're
we got to
going.
get him before
Will
he
Shipley.
disappears?
Will Shipley.
I want to talk
I'm
about Will
in.
Shipley.
He's
for a
going to
second.
say Will Shipley.
I'm in.
Go
Will
ahead.
Shipley is my favorite running back in this draft class, guys. He is.
Yeah.
I think he's the one guy that literally, no matter what you ask him to do, he does it, right? He does it, and he does it to the best of his ability. I think he's the best pass blocking running back in this draft class who's willing to do it as well. When I look at him, I think that what he brings to the table for this offense, I understand you bring in Zach Moss, you still have Chase Brown, you feel good about those guys, and maybe the addition of Zach Moss makes you feel like you don't have to address running back at this spot. But when I look at Will Shipley, man, he's a do-it-all back in the league. He does not show your hand, if you will,
I agree.
when he is on the football field, whether it's, hey, we're passing, hey, we're running the football. He's a do-it-all type of guy, and he's a dual threat player. You know, talking with him at the combine, he talked about how he patterns his game after guys like, well, it's easy to say that, but Christian McCaffrey. And
Danny Woodhead.
I'm just- those utility guys, right?
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah.
but no, like I really love Will Shipley, man. I think he's going whatever franchise winds up getting him, man, is getting a true difference maker at the running back position. And I believe his best football is ahead of him. I really believe that.
And I mean, I'm going to be honest, the way this board fell, I think it's perfect because the conversation, you can talk about Isaac Gurundo, but I'm going to be honest, it's two different caliber of players. Gurundo is, you're betting on the potential.
Yeah.
He was not productive like
Bet on
Will
trades.
Shipley. And Will Shipley, I'm with you. I think Will Shipley's the dude all back, and he's something where he gives you a compliment to these other two running backs. Chase Brown's explosive. Zach Moss will be, I think they're confident that he'll be their work or their early or their short, yardage, their goal line guy. And if you're confident in that, go ahead and take a shot at a guy like Will Shipley. But yeah, looking at the running backs, it's Will Shipley, Isaac, or you're not really looking at a guy that can be a potential running back one until
The only
later down.
other running back that I really, really like here is Kamani Vito. I mean, he's
Smaller,
when you talk about a pass blocking running back, he lays the law. He's smaller. He's got great contact balance. Again, that's just if we want to pivot off running back here. I am a massive Will Shipley guy, so I'm all for it as well. I think there's truly 3-down potential there. He's great in the passing game. He's good in the run game, obviously. He does it all. And like we talk about, the importance of our offense is just being non-predictable, and I think he does that.
I'm gonna say my little piece about just Will Shipley because I haven't looked at him.
You
as
kind of
closely
look
as
very
you
similar,
guys.
by the way.
Yeah.
You guys
Is
look
that right?
very
Yeah.
similar, yeah.
Well, maybe he gets drafted, and then I can throw on the Will Shipley.
I think those guys that walk around in malls and act like they're guys. I think
We can do a bit. We can do a bit.
So when I'm looking at Will Shipley's analytical profile here, under the 25th percentile in terms of elusive rating, breaking missed tackles, forcing missed tackles, on gap runs, almost like the 10th percentile. Not great in the gap runs, which is kind of the scheme that the Bengals are kind of favoring a little bit. And yards after contact per attempt, he's also almost about the 25th percentile. So below average in all of those in terms of draftable running backs over the last X number of years. Does that lend itself to any concern for you guys, or do you feel like there are reasons for that profile?
I think, obviously there's always going to be some concern when the numbers are that low. When you look at a Clemson, there's a reason we haven't brought up a single Clemson draftable offensive lineman. There's a reason we haven't talked about. There's a reason we haven't talked about any of the receivers. There's a reason
their offensive line's horrible.
There's a reason we're not talking about their quarterback. Obviously he's young, but still, like in general, like Clemson was just, it's not the same Clemson it used to be. Obviously I think he needs to develop someone that's a pure runner. But I think also Clemson was down. So everything was, there's still some reasons for concern, obviously, but I still don't just assume he's Clemson. He's running behind 5 stars.
And also, I'm gonna be honest, at this point, round 5.
Yeah, no, that's
why I think this is perfect that he was still on the board, because if he's not on the board, it's looking slim.
Well, how many
more picks do we have?
4.
5 after this one counting 5.
I am looking. So hear me out, guys, for a second. The only other pick that makes sense for me here is a corner, right?
Mhm.
And I'm just telling you right now, Dwight McGlothern is a guy.
Mm-hmm.
No,
He's a guy. He's a guy, man.
It is the
Yeah.
5th round, so I'll acquiesce here a little bit.
Yo, what?
I will acquiesce.
You'll
I'll
acquiesce. So
cede
hear me
some-
out.
I'll
Hear-
cede some ground to you a little bit.
Yeah.
He's got good size in terms of height.
Mhm.
19th percentile in the weight, 18th percentile in arm length,
Who are we talking about?
7th percentile in
McGlothern.
vertical,
McGlothern.
8th percentile in broad jump. 3-cone and shuttle were below average. Relative athletic score 4.46. Now, that's the reason you're getting him in the 5th round, right? His production profile he played 320 snaps this past season, had some injuries, was cut short on his season a little bit. So that was kind of his, not necessarily a flash in the pan, because 300 and some odd snaps against, SEC competition is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
But that is why you're getting a player who's had his level of production probably this late, is because the athleticism may not quite be there. But I do think that he can be your Eli Apple boundary
Yes.
corner who
Yes.
comes in if one of your guys
Yes.
get injured. I feel like this is kind of
Yeah.
the appropriate range. I just
What-
I got to make sure we're
Yeah.
bringing the hype
100%.
for Dwight
But
down just a little
I
bit.
just want to, and I respect that because you
Right.
did the same thing with Carrington Valentine.
I try and ground us a little bit. I
And,
liked Carrington Valentine.
Carrington Valentine was a guy.
I was a big
and,
fan of him.
Somebody asked me, Malik, who was your Carrington Valentine type of player this year? Him.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I like him so much. I told you guys.
I think
do.
Lou would like him a lot. 'Cause
I
he's
would-
good in
I-
coverage, good instincts,
Tall, lengthy.
Tall, lengthy.
plays off
We don't have
ball
that kind of
quite
build.
a bit to
Right.
cover for the athletic
He is
drawbacks.
He is similar to. He reminds me of when you watch Turn on the Tape. Get the bad image out of your mind, but he reminds me very much of William Jackson III, the good William Jackson III. When you turn on his tape,
I think he has
Very
better
rangy.
anticipation.
he does. He does.
He just
And
doesn't have the athletic or the
Correct.
length
Correct.
that William Jackson.
So-
High IQ guy,
So-
which is important.
So hear me out. I like him so much that I'm willing to trade with the Colts because we are late in the draft, guys. We're not going to use all these picks, right?
Yeah.
We got to the point where last time in the war room we were simply just grabbing guys essentially to kind of fill out the roster. Obviously, the tight end position is still a position you can address at some point.
that's something we
right?
you
continue
do
to
have
that's
three
year
players
year.
at tight end. It's
Exactly.
not the dire
Exactly.
hole that
And
other
Drew
positions
Samples,
are.
we signed him to a 3-year deal.
Yes.
It's locked in, baby.
So hear me out. I would like to. I'd like to see if we can trade with the Colts
Yeah.
because I'm fearful the Colts might get him.
So
Um,
yeah, okay.
I'm guessing we're agreeing Will Shipley's our guy here,
Yep.
and
So we would
trade
trade.
194.
194.
And, oh,
Ooh, yeah,
It gets slim after this,
And see,
obviously. I mean, just add.
let's add a 237.
Show.
No, they did nothing.
Yeah, I mean, there's they're sevenths. I mean, just click on them and see how even close you get if you add another one. Yeah, it's gonna had to be something.
6 round. Oh. So
That's
but,
a 6rounder next
so
year.
that's a 6th.
Take off 214 and just see 11. That's a massive difference. I feel like that's a massive difference. Do a 7th next year then if it's that likely to be accepted. How is it that different?
Okay, wait, do me a favor.
Yep.
Take off 214.
Yep.
Take off round 6 next year.
Yep.
Put on round 5 next year.
But maybe move this back. Oh.
No.
Let him cook. Let him cook. Let him cook.
On the G. Look, come on.
Okay.
Let him cook. Let him cook.
Let's
I
do
think I know these two.
194
Yeah.
this year. Round 5 next year
For them.
for them. Let's do that. No,
Wait, well.
He's just telling you to do this trade.
do this trade.
Oh.
We're sending 194 in
Yep.
the round 5 next year
Yep.
for the 150 for their pick at 151.
So you
This
just
year.
Yeah.
click off or trade.
So
Oh, you were. Oh, okay.
This
yeah.
is the trade
Oh.
offer, Daniel.
All right.
all right.
There we go.
He's gonna go 150.
So let's draft a player. Let's take Will Shipley here.
Yep.
Yep.
I think we feel good about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's
Imagine
good.
he just.
I
went.
would have been sick. You hear me? I would have been
That would have
sick.
been hilarious.
And then
though.
we're gonna do Dwight McGlothern.
White McGlothern. That's the pick. There we go.
No,
So essentially, you got your running back, you got your also quarterback. You get rid of some of those picks, right? Because you have an overabundance at the picks right now. You're not going to use all of those picks that you have.
No,
man.
you're not.
You feel a lot better about where you're going now with 214, 237, 238, right? Late picks, whatever the case would be. you can look at it and you can say, all right, what are we going to do while the Vikings drafted Jordan Travis?
That's
That's
not a
big.
bad pick. Even Javon Foster, a big fan of that pick there as well for Kansas City.
That's BS. Him that late?
Guys, let's talk about it. How are we feeling about the draft overall so far?
I'm happy with it, to be honest.
I definitely feel like you're hitting almost every position of need, and that's without reaching. And that's the big thing, right? Is because it's easy to say like, oh, Blake Fisher is a good player, but he's probably not going to make it to the third. You don't want to take him in the second, right? You don't want to look at a guy. I like Dwayne Carter. I don't like Dwayne Carter at the back end of the second round, you know? So I feel like you do a good job of getting the tackle for the future, getting interior help, getting another weapon that helps you feel better about either parting with T. Higgins or keeping him for a year and adding another explosive receiver that gives you a speed element that Tyler Boyd did not have. So I feel like all of those really, really help. Getting depth at corner was crucial. I feel like you've really addressed a lot of the core needs for this upcoming season.
I agree. I honestly, I feel a lot of people are down on the what do you
Jermaine
call it?
Burton?
Jermaine Burton pick, man.
I mean, LSU Dan is not happy about the Alabama receiver. That's crazy.
Right. But no, it's one of those things where, man, I feel good about this draft, man. I feel like we've been aggressive.
Yeah.
With respect to obviously we didn't like really. There's not a guy that I feel like damn, we missed out on, if you will. Like for me, if the draft played out this way, I feel okay. I personally feel okay. I understand people may not like.
There's
I
just
think
really
the
not
only
that many
thing I would have
issues.
liked to get is a backup 3 technique, just something that can come in and not be Zach Carter. Like that would be
But
very
remember,
encouraging.
here's the beautiful thing, because we're now operating like a modern franchise, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So cuts are a real thing, right? Cuts are a real thing, and the ability to look at how we got BJ Hill, right? BJ Hill was a guy that you drafted essentially.
Brenton Jackson, love him. Good edge.
He was a guy that you were able to get, when I trade for a backup center that, a center that didn't basically work out for you, right? You were able to get draft capital on top of that. So, I mean, I think that there are going to be more opportunities to address the 3 tech spot, but I think going into it, the 3 techs that we're actually looking at on the roster are Sheldon Rankins and BJ Hill.
And I also think if we really want to, talk about it too, we're expecting Miles Murphy to take a jump. We could play Sam more inside now as well. That's going to help burden that load of, maybe playing Zach Carter less, because now we can move Sam in there because we trust Miles Murphy outside more. Or we can, if Joseph Asai takes a jump, Cam Sample takes a jump, now we can continue to move guys like Murphy and Sam inside a little bit more.
And I understand there are picks people love. We're back on the clock. I understand there are picks. It's on the board. There are picks that people love, right? And they kind of like stick by those guys and say, hey, you know what? I love XYZ. I know that I want this person. I want that person. But like when you remove your biases and you actually just look at how this draft is played out, I think you feel good. And someone says, no way the Bengals would make these trades. I disagree.
Yeah.
I think that you talking about the Bengals moving up in the, maybe
they moved up into the second for Cam Taylor-Britt, didn't they?
They moved up in the second for Cam Taylor-Britt, right? But if we're talking about these back end moves, right? What are you going to do with 10 picks? What are you going to do with 10 picks? This roster is already competitive, right? So at the end of the day, I think this is a fine draft so far. Let's scroll down. We're back on the board. There's some.
You're getting a little thinner, obviously. that's the thing. I mean, in general, if you want to look at continue, like I said, there's a lot of depth that needs to be had on the offensive line. Scroll down a little bit there.
Yeah.
Borderlini's is
position
great.
we looking
Just,
at?
interior offensive line is just in general where I keep going. Dylan McMahon has played 300 plus snaps at every interior offensive line spot. Again, when we're looking at this point in the draft, I'm looking at guys who can be versatile and fill multiple roles. Like I said, McMahon, 300 plus snaps in his career at every interior offensive line spot is pretty valuable. I think we can continue to go back and look at linebackers here. Hooper from Missouri is another guy that's just a tackle machine. We need to maybe fill out some depth there as well. We love Bortolini obviously as well, but maybe a little less versatile.
I feel like getting a center here that can help kind of with the one, have the guard center versatility, and 2, can help you maybe fill the Ted Karras spot, which will be coming due very shortly. So getting that guy in the building now, getting him a rapport with the team, getting him acclimated so that he can handle all of the mental duties that centers tend to have to deal with. I feel like that is a worthwhile pick this late because that is a guy who can contribute. You're not likely to get a lot of those guys if you
100%.
pick.
You
a
feel
corner
good about
wide
the
receiver.
offensive line after this, right?
You do.
You get the Cooper
It's-
Beebe pick, right? For the guard spot. You got the tackle spot figured out, and you add a guy like Bordolini later in there, which is why you felt so comfortable. Not saying that he's on the same level of Zach Frazier, but it's why you feel comfortable, right? Which is why when we talk about the draft at the end of it, we're like, damn, like we could have had Tanner Bordolini later in the draft. And you feel good overall about it because you felt like you missed an opportunity in the second round.
The only other, I guess, name I want to throw out here is Tanner McGlothern, tight end from Arizona, former receiver, converted receiver, playing the position now. Just, one of those guys that's a good athlete, 6'5", former receiver, good yak guy. Just, one of those things. We're late in the draft. We're looking for guys with upside. You tell me I have a 6'5" receiver that is now a tight end, that has good tape, good jump ball abilities, good red zone threat, yak opportunities as well. Again, we're looking for flyers and upside. I think there's plenty of argument to be made that there's plenty of upside. Maybe not as much upside as a guy like Bordolini, but just more in a different position, maybe position more need, depending on how you want to look at it.
I just think that I think for right now, for this year, you don't feel pressed to like remember they went all last year. Well, we went all last year.
Yeah.
Last year's draft class.
And we'll do it again next year.
Well, I think the beautiful thing is you picked up. I mean, we knew you had questions about the tight end position.
Yeah.
With a guy like Irv Smith.
Yeah.
You knew you did, right? You were going in trying to sell people that Irv Smith was your tight end.
Yep.
So I personally think you can. I think what Tanner Bordolini brings to the table long term, and just the projection, I think it just makes too much sense.
Malik, I'm gonna be honest with you. In the real draft, I think he's gonna go. I would pick him in the 5th round. At this point, you got to go best play available.
Yeah.
Yes, we took 2 offensive linemen. I don't care. He is a guy. I'm super confident in this dude. He can play all 5 positions. I'm confident he was a leader on his team. In the 6th round, if we find a dude that we think can truly be a starter, I think he can be a starter on an NFL team within this season at the center position. So I would be super confident. I don't think he'll ever make it here in the draft. I am super confident taking him. Just best play available, and I would love our lineman draft.
Are you set on the Bordolini pick as well?
Yeah, for sure. I think that offers you so much. Like it's so hard to get guys who are going to be quality starters or actually tangibly contribute for you in the 6th round.
Yep.
Like you're taking very long dart throws here to get a guy who can fill in for you in multiple spots and also give you a contingency plan, a future plan. I feel like that's the easy pick here.
Yep.
Bordolini.
I like it.
Love it. Clap it up.
And this is why we say wait on positions like linebacker, like defensive line, like interior O-line, because you can get some of these guys later, 4th, 5th, 6th rounds that can be quality starters for you, where you just can't do that for edge, corner, at a high rate.
Somebody said Karras has no medical issues. Offensive line players have a longer shelf life. I'm not replacing Karras. He's great for the team, city.
I know he's not.
This
but
is
are
going to be the
Bengals gonna
next.
bring back
Here we
a
go.
30-year-old center on a 3-year deal. 32.
33. He's going to be 33 when he's a free agent.
33.
Yes,
When's the last time the Bengals signed when is the last time we signed a 33-year-old free agent?
He can also play guard as well. So,
Guys, I know we all love Ted Karras. Like we love DJ Reader.
He's a great guy.
We loved Andy Dalton for how good of a guy he was, even though the on-field play was frustrating. But
So we've got back-to-back picks here in the 7th round.
nice. How do we get that? Oh, that's what it's been? Wow, back to back. Oh, because last time we traded.
We traded him. Some linebacker depth coming off the board there. It's tough, but it is what it is.
I'm looking at your guy, by the way, the tight end.
tight
See if
end.
he's
I
still
like it.
All
He's
right.
right there.
If he's there.
Let's
Should we tank for Tua?
No.
was he the converted wide
Let's-
receiver?
let's-
He's
yeah.
converted wide
McGlothern.
receiver.
There's
He's
a
still-
few of them. There's a few of them.
Let's give. Wait, well, let's go to the tight end. Let's go to the tight end position for a second. We're picking at scraps at this point, but
Yeah.
Jared Wiley is. I
There-
definitely feel like Tanner McGlothern or Jared Wiley are
Yeah.
my 2 ideal picks here.
Yeah. And I mean, because this is a little better than I think it typically seems for the back end of the tight room. I mean, if like Brevin Spanford would be a guy that like we love Drew Sample. We obviously should extend him. If that guy wasn't here, he makes more sense. He's a great blocking tight end. But do we really need 2 great blocking tight ends? No, we barely need 1.
so let's take the Tanner McGlothern here.
Yep,
Let's bet on
I like
the
that.
potential. Let's
Just-
see what happens.
Yep, some upside there, bigger. We
All
got
right.
another pick right
We
away.
got another pick right away. I don't know if this is accurate, but
I mean, right away, we haven't addressed linebacker. Maybe we want to throw a dart here at a linebacker.
A Marcus Bailey pick.
Yeah, like just some of that. I know Our guy Dallas Gannigan from last week. Nathaniel Watson's a little bit lankier, thinner kind of guy.
Let me sell you on a punter.
We did it last week.
Evan, you're in control of this next pick. I'm just sitting back.
Oh
man.
Jesus!
I know it's such a tough.
Go
choice.
check out Evan's interior defensive lineman.
Oh, you're gonna have some.
Yeah,
Evan Anderson. Yeah.
but the thing is, he's another nose. It's Evan's pick. Shut up.
This is where I go, man. Like I know, again, I'd like to have a guy who can contribute to the team, and I don't know that any of these guys are making the roster, which is what makes me want to look at a specialist, like we tend to, man. Like either Jake Browning is a good backup quarterback, but maybe you can take a guy and start developing that backup quarterback of the future when Browning leaves to go test the market.
You know,
and just
Check out the QB.
and when I say test the market, I mean get the Gardner Minshew deal, right? The $16 million a year deal,
Jason
not
Bean.
$25-30 million. But between Sam Hartman, I like Talia, but I don't know if he's quite what they might look for in a quarterback. I definitely feel like Keaton Slovis or Sam Hartman is probably more of what they're looking in. Like
It's more their typical kind of quarterbacks. If
I
you
mean,
wanna-
they're journeyman college quarterbacks, so they're already ready to be journeyman
And,
NFL.
You know, if you want to get a
quarterbacks.
different style of quarterback, that's when you're looking at Jason Bean and John Rice Plumlee, just more athletes. You know, that can, if we're really truly looking.
My goal is to make this pick worth something, to give a tangible return to the team,
and maybe scout team Lamar Jackson is valuable.
Right.
That's what you're doing in the 7th round sometimes. So, what else are we looking at?
I mean,
That's pretty much it, man. I know there's fun dart throws here, but again, I can't say that with the wide receiver room the way it is after we pick Burton, when you still have Higgins on the roster, can't say any of those guys make it. Maybe you get a return specialist that's like a corner or safety, but then are you keeping 5 safeties on the roster? Like
Maybe.
Well, 6 because you've already got Tyson Anderson behind the 2.
Yeah,
that
maybe
you've
there's a
already got on there.
receiver of some degree. You can click on that for a second.
We've gone pretty high on, or
that's
pretty
just so
hard
bad.
on offensive line. We've gone pretty hard on D line. So like linebacker
No,
and specialists
nobody.
are pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, with the new kickoff thing, like we got to talk about, there's always some scat back that is going to thrive in that role.
but again, then we already got Will Shipley. So
the
then
Chiefs
who's-
just signed a rugby player to do it. So, I mean,
Are you keeping 4 running backs on the roster then?
I guess it'd be.
No,
we always
5.
debate this last pick so heavily.
All right, pick, Evan.
love
Go.
I've already said what I wanted. You guys keep checking other positions.
Whatever you
Okay,
say.
just go ahead and take Sam Hartman.
Sam
Just go
Hartman's
ahead
the
and,
pick.
take
We have a
Notre Dame
beautiful
guys,
quarterback room.
Make all the local people a little bit happy.
Beautiful quarterback room, man.
Yeah, no, there's going to be a lot of commercials for the
Which
for the
brings in
Bengals.
ad revenue for us, which
Right.
brings in more money,
Maybe we
which
can
means
get in
more
on some of,
free
like, the
agents.
Dove soap stuff that like Joe Burrow does sometimes. You know,
Yeah, maybe we can get a
All right,
Skims
guys,
ad.
We had a good draft. We had a
Of course we
start
did.
draft. I think we feel.
Come on.
I think we feel good
Come on,
about
come
it.
on.
Evan, what are your thoughts? You seem a little.
yeah, no, I understand that people are frustrated with the Jermaine Burton pick in the 2nd round, right? I understand wanting Troy Franklin. That's completely fine. That's a toss up for me.
But hear me out. If you were okay with the Jackson Carmen pick, if you lived through the Jackson Carmen pick,
What I want to say
you'll
is
be
a lot
fine
of
with
people are
Jermaine.
going, Keon Coleman. Why not Keon Coleman? Keon Coleman. I understand the hype was there throughout the season. I understand if you just go Keon Coleman highlights back to back to back, they look really good. This is a guy who is a pure jump ball merchant. He does not have a developed route tree. He does not have high-end speed. He does not have high-end explosiveness. He can do stuff after the catch, but if you're not manufacturing screens or tossing him jump balls, that's just a very limited receiver profile for me. And when your yards per route run, your catch percentage all drop every single year. I know the quarterback play got worse and you're a jump ball receiver, but again, we saw this with guys like Kelvin Benjamin, N'Keal Harry. I mean, guys who just struggle to separate constantly, struggle in the NFL. You're telling me that you're just going to be a jump ball guy. I can get guys who are 6'4" and just do jump ball stuff.
And that's the thing. Like, I think when we're mocked receivers and all this stuff, people either expect us to take a pure slot to replace Tyler Boyd or some big massive X to replace T. Higgins. That's not how
T.
people
Higgins
are
can
going
run
to
a whip
operate.
route. Keon Coleman absolutely
But like
cannot.
that's not how people are going to operate. Yes, we had success with 6'4" T. Higgins. That doesn't mean we want our next receiver to just be T. Higgins. Maybe we want a guy who's 6'2", 6'1", that's faster, that can run better routes, that can contribute in other areas of the game. Just because we've had success with T. Higgins doesn't mean that's the style of receiver we want year in and year out. Maybe we want to go more 2 receiver sets, more 2 tight end sets, more 12 personnel, more things that we can mix it up. And that's what you get with a guy like Burton. He can play inside. He can play outside. Obviously, so can T. T's great. This is not about T, but I'm just trying to allow you guys to remember when you're replacing T. Higgins does not mean replace him with a tall jump ball receiver we can find.
Right.
If you can replace 1,000 yards with 3 people, that's
T.
replacing
Higgins moves a lot
that's,
better than
that's
Keon Coleman.
replacing T. Higgins.
And
it doesn't
just
have
to-
to be 1-for-1,
Yeah.
same style, same kind of guy. Just production is production, however you get it.
And just to add to that too, the Ringer has him as a 3rd round grade. They also are down on him. It's not just me. It's not just Logan. Like I feel like if you're picking in the 2nd round, you want a guy who can offer you a lot. Burton hits the intermediate area. He hits the vertical area. He's shown production from the slot, which can give you immediate production right now. People say we want guys who can help the Bengals win a Super Bowl now. That's it right there. That can help you so much.
The list is longer of things that Jermaine Burton can do that Keon Coleman can't than the list is that Keon Coleman can do that Jermaine Burton can't.
Yeah, I feel like if you're doing Keon Coleman, you're specifically asking him to be a jump ball receiver, and I feel like that is not what you ask of a 2nd round pick.
Nope.
You need somebody that's versatile.
Has a more
with
complete
you.
profile, at
Yeah.
least, or at least if you're going to be that, have the high end athleticism. He still ran like a 4.65. Like that's not going to threaten over the top. And even his separation versus single coverage, 46th percentile. That's not good. Like that is not good. Like if you've been in the college and you're some high premium level athlete, you can't separate from college to DBs. How are you going to do it in the NFL?
Yep.
So looking at how our draft went personally, and this is where I'm looking, I think we got a ton of talent. The only one I'm just looking back at round 1, and I like Fatu.
Bro, it's
I
our
do.
only A+. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
know,
I'm just kidding.
I know. See, that's what once again these grades, I don't like. Beebe being a D- is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Looking at round 1,
Remember, they're not grading the player here.
It's a lot of
They're-
positional value.
It's positional value. That's really what it is.
Right.
Like if you scroll back, let's scroll back.
And it's their ranks.
No,
so,
that
like,
back down that way. They're talking about keep going. Up top, it says you drafted Jermaine Burton, right? And then Zach Frazier was a higher player on the board.
damn
But
right he was.
do you feel good about Tanner? And he 100% was, right?
Right.
But do you feel good about Tanner Bortolini? Does that make up for that miss? Sure, it does.
To us, it
Absolutely.
does. The system, it
To the
does.
system, it doesn't, and that's fine. And I mean, like people could disagree and dislike.
Yeah.
this
No,
all they want, but I think but if we're gonna have a real conversation about it, and this is where I'll ask for you guys to drop your comments down in the comment section. If you guys want our the reasoning behind some of the picks,
Right.
I'm more than happy to discuss. But here's what I'll talk about, because I hear someone saying, did you guys trade up to draft the nose tackle again? Again, Devonta Sweat is more than just a nose tackle, but even more so than that. Trading up isn't necessarily a bad thing. You have 10 picks, right? What are you going to do with all those 10 picks? The reason why we clamor for compensatory picks is because you want the ability to trade up and grab a guy. If there's a guy that you really, really like, it's not because you're going to sit pat and be like, oh, wow, we have 3 picks in the 3rd round or 2 picks in the 3rd round. Let's see what happens. I think it's perfectly fine that you trade up and you get aggressive. And I think that's where the Bengals have been hurt before in the past, because they'll sit back and they'll say, we like a guy. We had this guy rated where we had him on our board, but they'll stay at pat and they'll be like, hey, they'll overvalue their draft, they'll overvalue their players, and you miss out on guys. For me, I personally love the fact that we were able to trade up and get Dwight McGlothern and Will Shipley on the 5th round. I think that value is great, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Somebody said Mims would be a great pick to build your future offensive line on.
For sure. And
For
I
sure.
made the case for that. Yeah.
100%.
But we still built our future offensive line.
Yeah, you still built. It doesn't matter which way you slice it, you still sliced it, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to say the pie because I don't want to sound like I'm
Yeah.
Tobin, but you still got it done regardless. The wide receiver spot. Well, we have T. Higgins on the roster. Okay, T. Higgins on the roster for this year. You're going to pay T. Higgins $20+ million at this point?
Yeah.
Probably not. So the fact of the matter is, you get a Jermaine Burton, who I don't know what other people may see when they turn on the tape. when
Like,
they
go
him.
watch the tape again.
I
guys. I don't know what to
think-
tell
I
you.
think-
Like,
I think
watch the
it's
Bryce Young
for-
tape and the Milrow tape,
Yeah.
because he's used very differently.
And I
Like,
think with Burton in general, like he's just one of those receivers in this cycle that isn't just generating a bunch of hype. Nobody's really talking about him. And that's, so just because you're not too familiar with hearing the name and around this buzz doesn't mean he's not a good player. Just because he's been a 2nd round player for the last 3 years doesn't mean he's bad. Just because other people have gone from 4th round
it's
to
just his
first
size
round.
and his
Here's
long
people-
speed.
and
He doesn't have
here's-
4.3 speed, and he's not 6'2".
here's-
That's the only knocks on him.
Here's the issue. One of the issue that I have, man. Someone's saying like, DJ just says we need to trade those late picks, not top 100 picks. If you want Sweat, just take them in the 2nd and keep the 3rd and 4th picks. You can get a good receiver in the 3rd. But who's to say that, man? This is the draft, right? It's a crapshoot, right? When you enter the
That
third,
run might happen
when the
real
comp
quick.
picks, when comp picks, like the third is when a lot of these comp picks and stuff like that start to kick in.
Right.
So who's to say that we're
But-
going to be able to grab a third? There's going to be the way the draft works is there's typically runs at one point or another a receiver. It's funny, after we drafted Jermaine Burton, we started seeing the run on wide receivers.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying was, at some point, it's 31 other teams in the NFL that are drafting.
And that's the thing
right?
too.
So
In his argument, he's saying that, we should have just took Sweat at 49 and then just took a different receiver in the third. But why would we do that when now we got the best receiver on the board at 49 and the best defensive player in our mind that was also there at 49? So yes, I get that thought process in general, but when you believe in somebody like we believed in Jermaine Burton, why would you not just get them both?
bingo.
There's a difference in that. Yes, we could have got a solid round 3 receiver, but it would have been a player we don't like as much.
Well,
as
I mean,
we
that's
like
the thing,
Jermaine
right? Is
Burton.
because we talk about that where, again, Burton's drawbacks are size and off-field stuff, doesn't have 4.3 speed. He's still 4.4
Yeah.
guy, still vertical, right? But when you talk about, I see Xavier Legette as much as a Keon Coleman.
Yep.
Xavier Legette is a one-year wonder who is also kind of a jump ball guy and needs a
Burton
lot of
not good enough
polish.
before round 4 is crazy.
Like I don't feel
come
like
on.
these other guys
Oh,
are
come
anywhere
on.
near
That's
that
crazy.
level to where
Oh,
you're
come
taking
on.
a Javon Baker
Yes.
and Devontae
Yes.
Walker, and I just don't feel as good about those guys.
Another thing as well is, in this specific argument, we traded the 3rd round pick 80, our first third. And if you look at historically, our 4th round pick, you're telling me that's Deontay Smith, that's Tyler Shelvin, our 7th round pick, that's Chris Evans, that's Brad Robbins. Oh no, darn, great players. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yes, we could have maybe drafted a better player than we drafted then. But the later you get, the less, likelihood it is you're going to draft a player that's truly making an impact.
Listen, I don't think I think this draft right here, it solves a lot for you.
Again, I completely understand if people have a different flavor of wide receiver.
Yes.
They wanted to go Troy Franklin there. They wanted to go Ricky Pearsall, Roman Will. Okay, I hear that. When people are asking why not Keon Coleman, I see so many red flags in Keon Coleman's profile to where top of round 2, I think is ridiculous.
And at the end of the day, you got to look at whose roster. Keon Coleman can be good on another team. The Bengals aren't going to use a jump ball wide receiver as much as they would use a guy like Jermaine Burton that can switch between the slot and
And the fact of the matter
outside.
is, you have T. Higgins on the roster this year, right?
yes.
You have T. Higgins on the roster this year. So where does Jermaine Burton fit in, right?
Right in the slot.
Right in the slot.
Immediately.
Right in the slot, right? Gives you more speed than what you had last year in the slot. Gives you the deep threat ability. I think he has the ability to also play outside. And here's the best part about his game, though. I think he allows you to use Jamar Chase in different ways.
You get
versus
so
Jamar-
much flexibility in
so
your wide
much
receiver
flexibility,
room.
man. So
Sure, you probably don't want to put Burton at X where he has to beat press repeatedly, but he can still do that. His technique is
You can
good.
do that 5 times a game.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. And Jamar Chase has all the traits that you want out of an X receiver. You can easily play Burton at the flanker spot, play him in the slot. You can move him around, and he can do a complete route tree.
And again, let's put this thing into perspective. The draft is for the future.
Yep.
Free agency is for the now.
But it helps you now as well.
This does
It's
both.
the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
This does
the Hannah
both.
Montana pick.
Immediately, you get a wide receiver that can start. You get a left guard that can start. You get 2 left guards that can start, if we're being honest. You get a good swing tackle in Fatanu if Brown goes down. And if he goes down, boom, Beebe can step right in and play guard. Now we got 2 starters. We got a starting nose tackle. We got a running back that's going to contribute. We have a long, lanky corner that can come in and be a specialist. That's all the way into round 5 with
And you've
people
had
that can
injuries,
contribute.
And the fact of the matter is, as much as I love Cam Taylor-Britt, you've had injuries every year with him, right? And at some point, you're going to need a guy to be able to step in if he does go down, or and you feel just very good about the spot that you're in. If you scroll down, Daniel, if you continue to scroll down, Tanner Bortolini, again, that's a pick for the future. What happens when what happens if if Ted Karras leaves, whatever case may be.
Ted Kappa.
And then somebody says, the Disco Golf Desk says, LOL, y'all give people a hard time for Buckeyes bias, but the Bama bias is wild. Guys, we drafted 1 player from Alabama. If we
In 2 drafts.
in 2 drafts, in
And again, you and I are not as high on J.C. Latham as other people.
No, not at
you
all.
said you weren't as high on Dallas Turner as other
No.
people.
Jermaine Burton was there, for 2 years, a year?
Yeah.
Like,
2
it's
years.
not like he
2
only
years
went to
with 2
Bama.
different quarterbacks of 2 different completely style of play. When you're talking Jalen Milroe is just run the ball, play action, deep shot, every couple plays. I want to put this in perspective too, because Keon Coleman was a big screen receiver. A lot of his production that didn't come from jump balls was
Yeah.
screens. Jermaine Burton had one screen catch.
Mhm.
He was just not used like that. He was not used as an underneath guy.
You better learn
with
screen.
Milroe like that. But if
Yeah.
you put an accurate quarterback who can actually lead him and throw the ball competently and diagnose a defense,
Mhm.
Jermaine Burton was 95th percentile.
His
against
best days
zone
of football
coverage.
are ahead of
He's
him.
good against man, zone, separation. All the metrics say he's good. I'm sorry if you don't like that when he was 17, he didn't do a good job in the recruiting process. Like that doesn't matter to me now.
Yeah. Somebody says, "Are we giving up on Jones draft?" No, it's not. Again, this is a move for the future. You're preparing as if like what happens when T's gone the following, and that's not to say Jermaine Burton even comes in and replaces, but that when you get to this point in the draft, again, I personally am very high on Jermaine Burton. I think he is going to be an absolute stud in the National Football League. But you feel good about it. People get so caught up and so wrapped up in testing numbers.
I haven't heard a single
scores
draft
so much.
analyst be like,
No,
"Yeah, I'm out on Jermaine
You know,
Burton."
two guys that I have a lot of respect for, Trevor Sikkema and Damian Parsons, right? One of the Draft Network, one of Pro Football Focus, and we talked about this, and he said, honestly, Malik, he said Jermaine Burton is ranked right around
Sam Monson and Steve Palazzolo have him as like their 5th best receiver.
Yeah, he said 8 to 10. These are guys that I like, and I value what those guys say a lot more, obviously, but also watching the tape.
Again, if you guys like Troy Franklin, that's fine. Like these
Yeah.
are the same tier. These are like tiers of receivers, right? It's important to look in tiers. Early round 2, late round 2, like because we're splitting hairs with a lot of these guys, right? Like when I'm saying Troy Franklin's hole in his game is just the physicality, right?
Yeah.
Either at press or just in the route. Like if he puts on some pounds and gets stronger, like maybe that's not the problem. Like,
and I feel like I was sitting here trying to like think of just some names to throw out for Jermaine Burton just to like he's honestly like just kind of a more athletic Tyler Boyd to a degree. You know what I mean? He's a guy that can do a little bit of everything. He can run deep routes, but he's not going to like specialize in it. But he's more than just a slot guy. But he's just more athletic, so he can play outside a little more than Tyler Boyd could. But he can also do more with the ball in his hands than Tyler Boyd could.
Right.
He's just a good football player that fits on any kind of team you want him. And I think a lot of times throughout the draft process, when a player doesn't dominate in one area, they aren't graded as highly because there's no like super ridiculous flashes or thing to pound the table on. But just because one player gets 10 B pluses in their grade doesn't mean he's worse than a player who has 2 A minuses and 8 Fs. It's different.
And LSU Dan again, he says Burton late.
Dude, I thought
round-
that was a joke when you brought that up earlier.
He
I'm serious.
said Burton late round 3, 4. I have less of a problem with.
I will-
picking round. So here's one thing. We've ran several mock draft simulators.
Right.
Jermaine Burton has never made it out of the second round.
And then here's the other thing I say. If you want to counter, you disagree, that's okay. Tell me why, and don't be like, I hated his recruiting when he was 17, or call him Burton bust, because it sounds like you're an LSU fan who's mad about stuff. When I would sit here and tell you all these LSU players are good as shit.
Even more so, let's just say this though. If you have an issue, if you like a guy and you believe in a guy,
Tell me why.
right? If you don't have a problem with him being drafted in 3rd or 4th, why do you have a problem with him being drafted in the 2nd? If for me, the concern would be the same exact thing. Are you talking about just the value? What is it exactly? Because I believe that the same Jermaine Burton you get in the 3rd, which you wouldn't get because he won't be there, you can get in the 2nd, and you get the same exact amount of production, you get the same amount of value.
If you're telling me you could get him in the 3rd and guarantee it, dude, I would be.
I do it.
I would do a heel click on the way to go.
It's a whole discussion we've had with Tavondre Sweat. If we think he's going to be here, it'd be awesome. But are we willing to risk it? No, we weren't.
Right.
Like that. It's as simple as that. It's a player we believe in. We want him on the team. We're going to take him.
It's a pick that makes you better now and in the future as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this has been a draft. I'd say I feel much better about it because I feel like you got playmakers. We addressed the running back. Let's talk about the Will Shipley pick more, man.
Yeah,
Go ahead. This is your area,
man. This is the pick that I feel really, really good about, man. And I think that he could be RB1. I'll just be honest and say, I think that you got guys on the team right now that can do certain things. I think Chase Brown, I don't know if he's a high volume carrier type back. I think he's a good scat back, good guy on, you can get involved with the passing game.
Yeah. Think Tony Pollard upside there.
Yes.
10, 12, 13 touches a game.
And so I love what Will Shipley brings to the game. I don't think that, I think that the running back position is really just an open forum, if you will. We'll figure out, how it all shakes out. I think the White McGlothern is a pick that we will all be smiling about. If a cornerback does go down for us, and we get to see what he flashes on tape, and he becomes probably the most rangiest corner on the team, right? I mean,
Lanky,
I love DJ Turner. I still believe in him. I think he's going to be great for us. I do. I understand that his rookie season kind of plateaued a little bit.
Yeah,
We
no,
didn't
his
see-
first like 8 weeks were
Yeah.
exceptional. And
Yeah.
we see the rookie wall happen all the time. And there's always going to be those limitations with him as outside corner because of his size, but he still is a great athlete. He still is always in good position. And he will be there to at least contest that, whether or not he comes down with it on these taller receivers. But again, you have a corner that you can slide in a little bit with that. You can mix and match a little bit when you have Cam Taylor-Britt out there as well. You can utilize him. And I still think that they do, even after the draft, maybe sign a veteran corner. I think everything is on hold right now until the draft. I think that's a big thing right now.
Yeah. But all in all, guys, I really love the way this draft shaped out. I feel much better about how this kind of, you can mix and match whoever receiver that you like. But overall, the essence is we addressed the positions for the future. I think, man, I think you feel really, really good. And no guy is sort of forced or thrusted into a spot in which they have to contribute necessarily right away, which is what you want. I mean, ideally, you want your first round pick to find a way. And
You want them to earn it.
Yeah,
And I think they all have to earn it.
Yeah, 100%, man. I don't know. I
Great
feel
point.
really, really good. I mean, you think
Great
about
point.
it. You think of Alex Kappa after, in 2025, he's a free agent. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So do you have your replacement there at the guard spot? Yeah, you do. I mean,
Looking at it, if I'm just being nitpicky, I think hindsight being 2020 right now, I feel like there was a handful of interior guys at center and guard that give you that versatility that maybe at that Cooper Beebe pick. I love him. I do. But if you
Yeah.
get that backup 3-tech that you desperately need, because who is behind Sheldon? You get BJ Hill right now for another year, right? And then, I mean, I guess you can take a rookie then and kind of throw him in. But, I definitely – and again, maybe Michael Hall and Dwayne Carter and all them are off the board at that point. Hindsight, again, always 2020. But just looking at it from where we are, I definitely, if we said we took a guard center and the Will Shipley pick, and then we had the backup 3-tech at the Cooper Beebe spot, like that might be like a B+ A draft.
If I were to predict for the Bengals, I mean, just seeing how our 2 mock drafts have gone, I think it'll either be an offensive line like heavy draft or a defensive line heavy draft. And what I mean by that is this one, you're looking at your offensive line and you have 0 questions right now. You are saying you got your potential tackle of the future and you got 2 interior guys, versus our last draft was taking Newton at the top and taking Tavondre Sweat. And I believe we took someone else.
We took Frazier in the second in the last one too.
So, I mean, I think this one, you got the best of both worlds. And
I think that having that extra 3rd round pick, it really allows you to be aggressive.
yes,
It really does allow you to be aggressive for the 2nd round, personally.
It
And
does.
Hey, LSU Dan, man, it's all good. I appreciate you tuning in and getting involved in the discussion.
Awesome.
I want stats or facts or reasons, when we're talking about players. We don't see eye to eye on players that we watch. Everyone's going to see different things, have different I've got inherent biases that I don't even know. Like that's why they're called inherent biases.
Yeah, like Jermaine Burton, clearly.
Well, that's why when
Or Zach Frazier.
you have a GM who knocks it out of the park, right, in a draft. The 2017 Saints, the 2012 Seahawks, they almost nail every pick. They got 5 starters. Those aren't just good GMs. They got lucky, right? And that's the thing is, this is such a crapshoot, and so many people who are really, really good at this, they don't beat the consensus board because we all have favorites or things that we're looking for. But when you put everyone's opinions together, you get a much better result.
100%.
So that's the advantage of us doing that here. That's the advantage of us having you guys here. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for offering your thoughts. I appreciate all you guys.
yeah, man. And who knows? I might be fired after the Jermaine Burton pick. I might be fired after that. You know what? That's okay. I'll just go over to the Pittsburgh Steelers and we'll ruin their draft as well. But thank you guys for tuning into another episode of State of the Jungle War Room Edition 2.0. I guess now is the time to make the announcement. Next week on State of the Jungle, we have a special guest joining us. Willie Lutz will be joining us on State of the Jungle War Room 3.0, and I'm excited for it. New cooks in the kitchen, but for the most part of it, we'll still be debating, still standing on the table for some of our guys. Who the hell knows, man? We went first round, we went defensive tackle the first time. This time around, we went offensive tackle.
Next week, we're going corner.
We're going to find a way to get Kyrie Jackson, Logan. I
Yeah, we
promise.
will.
You know
One
what?
of these weeks.
You know what? One day, maybe next week will be the week where I don't trade back into the 2nd round.
It's fun to see.
But guess what? I'm smiling, Malik, because we got Dwight McGlothern. I'm happy. I am happy.
Who cares about the rest, baby? We're
No.
good.
I
got
didn't say that.
McGlothern,
Let's not do that. I didn't say that. I just said I feel really good about this draft. I think that
I like it.
I think
I like it a lot.
the meat and potatoes of it. I think that this draft is going to wind up being very, very good, man. Right down to the last pick, even the Sam Hartman pick, right? I love the Sam Hartman pick. Does
There's
Sam
usefulness
Hartman
there.
offer enough in the future when Jake Browning does move on or test his market and stuff like that? I think they're very similar. I don't think that I think that Jake Browning's not very similar in the sense of like I think that Jake Browning offers more in terms of running the ball. Right, he has that upside as well, being able to stem plays a little bit more than Sam Hartman. But overall, these guys are experienced and they've played a lot of ball. So, I like this draft. I like the way it feels. I like what we've done. Let us know what you guys think down in the comment section. Do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content from the First Star Logistics studio. But until next time on the War Room next week, who dat?